Right then, guys, welcome to the Real Pod. Right, guys, welcome to the second episode of the Real Pod. Our guest today is a internationally renowned and respected BJJ instructor. He's a head coach at Fighting Fit Gym and also a double black belt. Can I welcome Chris Payne, aka the villain? Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. Great start.
We're in.
So, double black belt.
That was my first question.
Yeah, double black belt.
I was wondering where the second black belt came from then, but I realised I've been one for already, how many, like 15 years. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got that one as well. So the first black belt, the gym we use in Stafford is run by my ex-Japanese jiu-jitsu coach. And so when he things happened with work and he wanted to run his own gym, he asked if we would run a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class out of it just because we have a history together. So I started with him or his mom in 2001. Then his mom retired and he took over, and I was training with him up until about 2008 when I got my black belt. And then 2009, I found Fighting Fit, which they didn't have a internet presence. They didn't have Facebook. They didn't have, well, obviously it was like kind of pre-Facebook days. They didn't really have anything. It was just the word of mouth, probably like a single line in the yellow pages. And then just the word of mouth of this legendary tough gym over in Stone. And that's where the second black belt then started to, I guess, appear, because I went with my first black belt thinking I could maybe hold my own against these monsters, to which I could not. Like, they hurt me. Don't let that put you off ever coming down. Like, we're really friendly now. Like,
Now, I like how you say that.
We've been friendly for a while.
yeah, it wasn't that way in the beginning.
Well, before you went to Stafford, did you start? Was it in Longton, a gym in Longton?
Yes,
Is that right?
Actually. How did you know that? That's you've been, yeah, that's actually before I started, yeah, damn.
That caught you off guard a bit, Chris.
That is some like, yeah, I haven't had to talk about that stuff. I think, I think his name's Kevin O'Connor. I think he ended up in prison.
Was that Japanese jiu-jitsu?
No, it was his own blend of karate jitsu.
Oh, wow.
And that must have been October-ish 2000.
And is that when your journey into the real grappling?
Yeah, it was. How old were you? How old was I? About 13.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy basically, he was my first ever experience of any sort of martial arts. And I wanted to do karate as a kid, but there was nothing nearby that my dad could find. And I find this place on the internet, karate jitsu. I was like, oh, it might be jiu-jitsu then. I can't remember the name of the organization, but I think the guy became semi-notorious for claiming benefits as disabled, despite the fact that he was capable of holding his own leg above his head. Like, and like, I run this martial arts school, and it was like, I think it's still you find articles online about him. I think his name was Kevin O'Connor. And yeah, so I went to there, and it was a bit of a trek to go to Longton from Stafford. And there was actually a friend of mine that told me about this Keshiru Jiu-Jitsu that happened to be about 200 yards away from my house. I literally on a real retail park at the back of where I used to live was where they were running it in one of the gyms there, about a 4-minute walk. So instead of going all the way to Longton once a week to do this karate jitsu, which is just a blend of like judo and high kicks, and it was quite. I didn't know what to expect about martial arts, but they do stuff like, to stretch kids' legs. You'd sit in like a butterfly pose, and then like another kid would stand on your knees and like jump up and down to like stretch your legs out. just horrible stuff like that. And like, you know, crying on the mats was kind of common. And then they shout at you for crying and like, cry more. And you'd be like, no, this hurts. Yeah. Wow. That's
from the past.
How long were you there for?
Oh, that was only from about October through till I think March. I moved over to the other place and then just stopped going there. And then I wouldn't be surprised if that place still exists in some fashion. If someone took it over, that'd be really interesting to find out. Yeah, I'll have to find who the hell it was, what the hell the name of the organization was, and see if we can find it. If it wasn't for this podcast right now, I'd actually be looking it up to see if he still existed, if he's back, disabled and teaching.
Imagine if he's disabled realistically now.
Imagine if he's listening to this and goes, oh, wow, I'm remembered. I think most martial artists in the area knew about him. I remember mentioning him to Rich's mom when I first started. She said, oh, yeah, I know who he is. So he seemed to be quite famous at the time.
And from there, was it straight move into fighting fit from Longton, more or less then?
No, so I went from Longton to Stafford and doing the Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Yes, sorry, yes. And then
straight from there through to which is so the logic behind it was I remember hearing, you know, a few of the guys who maybe had been there once and got their heads kicked in, and I thought, oh, I need to go feel this place. I'm a black belt. I'm sure I could hold my own against them, and they just kicked my teeth in. And there wasn't really any kind of like heavy technique to it. It was just violent people in a warehouse who just didn't care about hurting each other, which seemed to work at the time. Then, so I started to learn about rear naked chokes, and I started to learn about, you know, neck cranks and arm bars and all these horrible things you could do to someone. And then I went to I don't think you'll find any information about this. I went to a martial arts camp at a Butlins, something like a Butlins in Great Yarmouth. Must have ended around about May 2009. And they had like loads of traditional jiu-jitsu coaches. And I went with all the other black belts from this Keshiru. And it was like, it was like the function room in a Butlins or whatever, place where God doesn't go. Like, it's God's blind spot. God doesn't care about Butlins in Great Yarmouth. And so there was this guy there doing pressure point knockouts. And I just learned how to choke a human being and realized how much effort it takes to.
Oh, this is exclusive. This is exclusive.
I'd learned to just choke a human being with legit stuff. And I'd just done like 2 or 3 competitions as well. I remember I went to my first competition after 3 lessons at Fighting Fit. And so I'd literally had about 3 hours of experience at this point in actual ground fighting with, heavy submissions. And I went into a competition, and my first fight was against a BJJ Blue Belt, to which I got my head kicked in. My second fight was against a purple belt who flying armbarred me from kneeling. And then my third fight was against a judo black belt who choked me so hard with my gi, I screamed. And that was my first experience in actual ground fighting violence. I then go to this Butlins at Great Yarmouth with this guy doing pressure point knockouts. And he's hitting his students in the forearm, and they're blacking out. Like, he says, I'm going to use my middle knuckle or my middle finger, and I'm going to punch them in the middle of their forearm. I'm going to interrupt their chi, and then it's going to black out. And it's like, bang. The guy goes straight to the ground. I'm like, no, sorry, shenanigans. Like, this isn't real.
Look at my eyes, yeah, one of them.
And then, so, the whole room's bought into this, and they're all kind of like, punching each other in the forearms and blacking out. And it's like, it's like when you see those like evangelical religious experiences where the guy's like, yeah, I'll heal you, and someone blacks out. Exactly the same. And I'm like, no, sorry, I've felt what violence is. This isn't it. And so the guy I'm with can't make it work. And so this head coach walks up to me and he starts punching me in the arm, and he starts like, all of a sudden he starts like punching me under the jaw with his knuckle and all this kind of stuff. He's like, oh, it doesn't work on you. I think it's because your toes aren't in alignment and it's interrupting your chi. I can't interrupt your chi to knock you out. And he's like, you want to go to, or your tongue was in the wrong place in your mouth at the time. I'm like, what?
Oh, man.
I'm done. Like, this isn't, I'm going to focus on choking human beings for a while and not punching them in the forearms, hoping for the best.
So did you throw that black belt away then?
I didn't throw it away, but it's kind of like funny enough, like all those years of doing that kind of jiu-jitsu, those things actually have made their way into what we do. I mean, I was at the Globetrotters camp in Austria about 2 weeks ago, and I wrist locked through someone, like, you know, a proper Aikido throw, and I even screamed Aikido at him as I did it, just because I thought it was funny that I can do what I want now. But I think it made me appreciate that I didn't know a lot about ground fighting or hard sparring, and I was like, right, well, this can go on the back burner for a bit. I'm just gonna invest my time in this for a while.
That's not the only belts that you've got, is it? Is it the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt and then the BJJ? But you've also got is it Luta Libre?
I think you've just read my profile on Fighting Fit.
That's all. Part of it.
I wrote this. Yeah, so I've got a purple belt under a guy called Nico Velko from Dortmund, who Naki's met him. He is a brilliant leg locking artist. And he's got some really clever ideas, stuff that I still use these days. But I think the whole line between jiu-jitsu and Luta Libre is kind of just completely blurred out at this point. I don't think you can separate between the two. So it's more just a recognition belt, and hopefully I get to go see him soon and maybe change that purple to a black belt. It has been 4 years at that belt. Yeah, I think I got a 3-stripe purple belt off him, 4-stripe purple belt off him in April 2019. So maybe I can make a trip over in the next few months and just go collect a black belt off him. Or maybe you can send it me in the post or something. Yeah, exactly. Let's go collect them and then start judo and then go like get a few belts from there as well.
How long have you been at Fighting Fit now then, would you say?
Since March 2009. I think aside from the pandemic, which we didn't train at all. I see Naqi. Like I like how you're looking away on the camera. Like no, this never happened. I think since I started, I've taken a week off. Like 1 week in. When was the pandemic? So it took me 11 years to take 1 week off. So I've been there a while.
What put you onto this journey with jiu-jitsu, you know, BJJ? What made you take? Why not boxing? Why not boxing?
I did Muay Thai. I did Muay Thai for 6 years. Weirdly,
okay. But the whole martial arts. What made you go into the martial arts?
I like to think of it as like, you know, maybe I was bullied as a kid, and I think, you know, maybe I was bullied a little bit at primary school. I deserved it probably. But I think looking like, I can't remember, I think it was on a different podcast recently. Someone said, you know, what got you into martial arts? I went, Tekken. Like, I was a nerdy kid playing PlayStation 1 and Mega Drive games. And like, I played Mortal Kombat and I thought that was cool. So that was enough for me. Like, as much as, I mean, even like, once I started doing jiu-jitsu, I still wanted to go do martial arts that involved me keeping my leg high up above my head, just because I thought that looked awesome. Like, I'd watched enough Van Damme, Bruce Lee films as a kid to go, I want to be a ninja. So there's no like serious reason for wanting to do any of it.
Your dream, that's what you wanted to become.
Yeah.
Mainly they want to become pilots, don't they?
Yeah.
Or all the, you know. But yeah, so how many fights have you had now? It must, you know.
I think competitively, it must be in the hundreds, at least. I mean, in my first formative years, you know, way before I met, which weirdly enough, okay. So obviously Naqi sitting here right now, Naqi is a phenomenal monster. And it makes me sad in that, how long have you been training now? 7.5 years? Yeah. I've been doing this for 14. So the entire time you've been doing this, I did it before you even put on a gi, which is so goddamn stupid that you give me such a hard time now. You think I should be twice as good as you? I've had twice as much mat time, but I'm not. And so before that, Naqi even arrived, that I was competing, you know, once or twice a month at different tournaments, you know, doing 4 or 5 fights at a time. So easily in the hundreds by now. I only kind of slowed down probably since Naqi arrived. I mean, I'm still doing occasional ones, but nothing compared to what it used to be like. I mean, I was at least doing 2 or 3 competitions a month for a while.
What would you say was your most memorable fight? Was that here or was that abroad or?
Trying to think. I've only competed abroad a couple of times. I trying to think. So I really enjoyed the stuff on Grapple Fest, Chris Thompson's event, where that's great production. He's got flow grappling and various other pay-per-view formats helping on the show. He's got thousands of people watching, a big venue. It's really well put together. So I've really enjoyed the competing on those. But I think one of my favorite ones was about 6 months in. I still play this video because it makes me laugh. I might put it on my Instagram later. Where first couple of competitions I had, I got wasted. Like they just messed me up because I didn't know what I was doing. I probably still have those videos and I will send them to Naqi because they are that funny. Is I walk in with my hands up like I'm boxing on my knees.
Oh, I can imagine that now.
Dude, we used to start back to back in those days. I turned around with my hands up like I was ready to start boxing and like dodging my head and stuff. In no-gi, I looked like a midget boxer. I had no idea what the hell was happening. I literally had about 6 weeks of experience. And then didn't compete for a few months and then came back about 6 months training. And I had a run at an old competition called Ground Control, which used to be in Manchester. And it was about 30 odd people in the division. And I won all my first 4 fights and then got to the final. And I think that run there was like the first time I thought, damn, I can actually, like, this is actually going to work. I can actually do this sport. And one of those fights, I think it was my second fight, was against the guy from Gracie Barra, which now knowing what I know about Gracie Barra, I cherish this memory. And he just knocked. So Jake, one of the guys we currently train with, he started with me. He returned 10 years later after quitting for a while. And this guy I was fighting had just put Jake out of the tournament. And so he went for a throw at me and I choke slammed him.
Oh, I've seen that video.
Right, proper rock bottom, picked him up by his neck and choke slammed him on the floor. And just that alone is, I'm going to put that on my Instagram later because it's such a funny.
Yeah, you have to. That's amazing. When I saw that, I was like, are we watching WWE right now?
I was going to say, choke slam.
Where's the Undertaker come from?
Somewhere at that moment in time, like I said last night, The Rock just went.
Oh, yeah. We did a rock bottom last night through rolling, and I was like, The Rock would have been proud of Chris goes, I'm sure The Rock somewhere for some reason just did that.
So where does the name Villain come from, Chris?
So
is this when you got on your peak and you just went all out at everybody, or?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's quite interesting.
No, it's because basically, as funny as it sounds, all I got it from was that. So Preet, the guy who I got my eventual black belt from, just said I laugh like a criminal, laugh like a supervillain. So whenever I'm like, he knows when I'm rolling because I'm just laughing hysterically whilst I'm doing it. Like I can't take this sport seriously. Is that we're a bunch of guys and girls in Lycra rolling around on the floor and like choking each other. That is hilarious. And so I laugh hysterically when it's happening. But it sounds like, according to most people, you laugh. I hear you laugh like a criminal. You laugh like a cartoon villain. I was like, that's a pretty cool nickname, the Villain. So I just kept it. I thought all these years looking for a decent nickname because everyone's. My favorite stuff is like when you hear the Brazilian fighters and their nicknames is they are so funny. I think Eduardo Teta Rios, like Teta means tits. And basically he got that nickname because he was the fat kid on the mats. And so he'd walk in with his like, larger bosom and he went, hey, tits is here. And so that stuck. And there's another very, very high level competitor, like probably one of the best that's ever going to be, called Buchecha. His name's Marcus Almeida. But Buchecha just means fat cheeks. And so, and you think, that's amazing that from now on in, that people even confuse that probably for his real name. Like, oh, it's Marcus Buchecha. To him, he just gets called Marcus Fat Cheeks all of the time. I think that is so funny. like there's a guy called Capo Di Sapato, I think, in the UFC, or he was in the UFC. Just means shoe face, like because they thought he was so ugly. They said his face looks like a shoe, and so that's why his nickname is just shoe face.
No, but don't you think it's funny that how violent the sport is overall, and people don't care what they're called, you know what I mean? And we've got people out there fighting over little things. If somebody call them a little name, or you called me this, let's go for it. It's like, these are the most violent people in the world, and they don't care what you call them, and it sticks with them.
And they love it. They just keep it. Like, oh yeah, I'm just called shoe face, or like I'm just called fat cheeks, or yeah, I'll just keep it then. Like one of the most famous ones, Tehere. To the point where most people even forget what his real name is, but everyone just knows him as Tehere. Just because when he used to come into class singing, you know that song, Oops, There It Is? Yeah. But he couldn't speak English. So he'd go, oops, and so everyone just started calling him Tehere, because, oops, Tehere. Yeah. Just because he was the kid singing that song relentlessly. And he couldn't speak English.
So, with this journey, with the martial arts journey, shall I say, where have you traveled to? Because I know you do a lot of seminars, don't you? Internationally, well, nationally, but internationally as well. You go abroad. How many countries have you visited, and how many seminars have you done over the years, I suppose?
I want to get one of those maps so we can scratch off like where you've been. I haven't been that far east yet. That's kind of my goal for this year. Is I want to end up towards Thailand, Tokyo, and Australia maybe. But I've done mostly west. I think the furthest I've been east is about Israel. But west I've been across most of Europe by now. Iceland and down towards Africa. And then I'm hitting so much of America. I've probably seen more America than most Americans have by this point. Hopefully this year I get to go Canada as well. I've had an invite for that, and Hawaii. Which, considering the snow and the misery we've got right now, I think it's almost insulting. Yeah, to be like, oh, you'll come Hawaii? Yes, next week. I hope so. But yeah, it's since I had a bit of a viral video go out a couple of years ago of me teaching a class at one of the Globetrotters camps, which it frustrates me because I didn't plan anything for the class and I was hungover at the time. Yeah, it turned out to be the class I get known for. I'm like, I wish it was better. Like, why can't I be known for something that I actually prepared for? And just from that video, people were watching it and say, like, can you come visit? And wherever the hell. What's been kind of interesting is the places that I didn't think I'd ever want to go to turned out to be the most interesting. I mean, I always wanted to go to New York as a kid. And New York is awesome. Like, we went around New York, and I think the 4 days that we spent in America together, I think I dragged Naqi around 54 miles of walking.
10 or 15 kilos on our backs. Yeah. Oh, mad.
Did you like lose weight doing that? Like when you came back? Because I
didn't check the scales, but I felt very light. Yeah.
Like when you took the backpack off and you got him. Oh my god,
my back is okay.
Yeah, we walked let's say from Boston and New York and Connecticut. I think we walked 56 miles.
Heat as well. Like it was like peak summer. It was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. But those places, like those are nice. Boston was awesome, and we had good pizza in Boston. But it's the places that I never thought of, one of my favorite places, and there's no chance he's ever going to listen to this. But Josh McKinney over in Granite City, Illinois, it's like a suburb of St. Louis. I love it. It's such a nondescript town. It's just one strip of houses with a few shops. And I loved it. It was the first time I'd ever seen fireflies. And it was just like, it's all those places that you almost have that kind of spiritual moment where you're sitting there thinking, how the hell am I here having like barbecue ribs in St. Louis? In what planet would I have ever, in what dimension would I have ever considered to be sitting here doing this with these people? Like I did the Globetrotters camp in Tempe, Arizona. It was the same thing, just sitting there, eating ribs after class, and it was like 38 degrees at night. Thinking, why am I in Arizona? Like, why on earth am I in Arizona? Why am I not somewhere cool? But here I am. I think that's one of the fun things about it, is that jiu-jitsu it's like fungus. It can survive anywhere, and it's incredible the amount of places it's just started, because all you need is a room, some mats, and you don't even need a gi or anything like that. Just people who can who don't care about a bit of violence and just want to roll around on the floor. And if you can get that, jiu-jitsu just survives. And especially with YouTube and books and all the different resources out there, people can make a good go at it. I mean, we did that. We had no one above us, so we made a go of it. And we're a very small example of that, and it's everywhere. And so I love the idea that and it's one of the great things that, as much as Naqi has maybe scared the life out of most people from ever joining this sport, is one of the things I found is when I meet people, even if you don't speak the same language, you're not from the same culture, that first roll is almost like a dance. There's like a chemistry to it, in that you have to trust that other person completely in that moment, even if you don't know that person, because at some point it's going to reach a natural conclusion where one of us could mutilate or kill the other. And a choke is essentially a murder, as in, if I choke you unconscious, you have 7 seconds before you black out. If I then hold that choke on whilst you're blacked out, and you ain't fighting back, you're going to die. And so you have to trust that person that, should you tap, they let go. Or should you just black out accidentally, they will look after you and not kill you. That when they put you into a joint submission, they're not going to tear your elbow apart or your knee apart. And it's weird that you can meet people who roll like assholes. And you're like, I don't want to know that person anymore, really. Like, I don't want to be friends with that person. And it's weird watching it. You normally see it quite a lot, is that people just like, they might be a lovely person, but if they roll like an asshole, you don't want to know them anymore. And, well, not as much. Like, you kind of distance yourself from them, maybe. And so one thing I found about traveling is that you have those roll, going to a gym, you roll with people. And as soon as you have like a good roll, like, oh my God, we're best friends now, let's go for dinner. And it transcends any language barrier. It transcends any cultural barriers or anything like that. Like, it's when you hear about astronauts when they go to space and they see the big blue marble and they suddenly go, none of this matters. Like, everything we've been arguing about on the ground, nothing matters, because everyone that's ever lived or anyone who's ever lived or is living now is on there. What the hell matters now? And I don't like in jiu-jitsu to being an astronaut, but it's a similar kind of feeling of when you do it and you trust you trust the person you're rolling with, doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Like, culture, skin color, language, like, we're friends now. And the fact that I can go anywhere in the world and that happens is incredible. That's one of the great things about the sport. That's one of the things I love about seminars. I mean, money's nice.
You must make a lot of contacts. Yeah, you must make a lot of contacts within gyms, obviously, because I think last year, were you not abroad last year as well, doing seminars in America and Amsterdam, was it?
I think I tried to figure out how many players. I went to about, I think I left the country about 17 times last year. Even if like, a day or two at a time, but which then you think of the amount of, especially the Globetrotters camps, which are just awesome. I highly recommend watching the documentary, The Gentle Art of Travel by Christian Graugart. It's on YouTube for free. Yeah, I can just end up anywhere. Like, one of my favorite places to visit is Heidelberg in Germany, which I go once a year. And I've just been to Austria, to Salzburg. Again, why would I ever go to Salzburg? Why would I ever go to Wagrain in Austria? I never thought about snowboarding, but I tried it 2 weeks ago. I'm still injured. I suck badly at snowboarding. But there I was, like, rolling in a basement with random people from across Europe and America and anything. Again, amazing. And I've made some really good friends from there who I'm now still talking to. And you think we've only known each other, time-wise, a couple of days. Yeah, these people I now care about. And I'm in places I never thought ever I'd exist. I mean, I think it feels like a lifetime ago, but I was in northern Denmark, Aalborg, that was it. And, small industrial port city on the northern coast of Denmark. Why would I ever go to Aalborg in Denmark if not because jiu-jitsu dragged me there? And now I really liked my time there, and I can't wait to go back if they're listening.
Because you've done some filming as well, or tutorial, I believe. Is it BJJ Fanatics?
Oh, we were both on that. So that came about from that one video, and Charles Harriott, a good friend of mine from Florida, managed to just put a good word for me with these people who they pretty much own the market at this point on.
What is, for our viewers, what is BJJ Fanatics?
So they are a paid for model where you can buy and download instructional videos on jiu-jitsu, and they've got really good coaches on there, and probably some of the best coaches that there has been are on there. Just doing 3-hour videos or hour-and-a-half videos on what they are good at in jiu-jitsu, and they normally retail at least 80 plus up to about $400 sometimes for some of these instructionals from some of the big name ones. And we were lucky enough to have this good word put forward on our work. And Naqi and I flew over and we recorded in their hallowed offices. And then we just, they left us afterwards and we just fanboyed around the office looking at various jerseys and rash guards and, oh my God, it's this guys. And like, the amount of pictures we still got from that, like, can you take
kids
a picture
in a
of me?
sweet shop.
It was worse. It was embarrassing.
It was. He just said, he left the door, he left us to it. Like, once we recorded, he said, okay, you guys can just take pictures, do what you want in there. We laughed, and I just couldn't believe it. It's like, we're here, and you got all these people who walk through these doors, and they got their memorabilia all signed, and like, what? And the old school DVDs, like, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, they have. Which actually was kind of funny then, is that, again, like the location of this was next to Salem in Massachusetts, which is obviously the Salem witch trials. And it was so weird that we went to the graveyard where the witches are buried, and you think, how the hell are we at the graveyard in Salem? Like, why am I here?
Yeah, why am I here?
It was weird, but it was like,
it's got a different kind of feeling, that place, hasn't it?
It was such a weird little town, and it was again just it was so strange how this niche sport, which most people wouldn't be able to identify, gun to the head, money in their pocket, couldn't tell you what it is allowing us to go places that we never even, at any point in your life do you think, I want to visit where witches are buried?
No, I didn't think I'd ever make it to America. Never mind anything else.
You look so happy when we got there. We got off the flight.
I am surprised they let him in.
No, not after I got off the flight. After I was cleared from immigration.
Yeah, you say it's surprised they let him in. It was touch and go for a few minutes. And we got.
I didn't think. I said that to him before he went.
We got to the. It was. So we left Reykjavik. We had to change flights in Reykjavik, our layover, and just before we got on the plane, so they let me through, and Naki's just behind me. They let me through on the flight, and they looked at Naq and went, "You, sir, have been identified for a random security check." Like, random, interesting. And then, so we got on the flight, got off at the other end in Boston at Logan, and we're both standing together at the passport control of the TSA, and they look at me and like, absolutely fine. Passport's good. Esther, welcome to America. Literally standing shoulder to shoulder with Naq, and I look at him and say, weirdly enough, you have been selected for a random security check. I'm like, really? Like, we're coming in together. How is he being selected for a random security check at this point in time? And so they, take us through to the secure area, and they're like, do you want to wait outside? And I was like, no, I ain't leaving him. Like, I'm coming with you. So we're both sitting there. I'm just like, we're going home, aren't we? They're not going to let us in just because.
If he's been sent to Guantanamo, so am I.
Exactly. There'll be clips on us on BBC News in the orange jumpsuits going through like the barbed wire fences. Why are you guys in Guantanamo?
I understand him, but what's this white guy walking through Guantanamo Bay? Why?
Dude, I don't have to have a beard at that point in time.
Oh yeah. I think that's probably what it was like. Okay, could he be a revert or something? What's going on here?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I guess Boston had those bombings, so I guess they're on high alert, guys with big beards like me. But yeah, at that point, it was like, really random, twice on the same trip.
You've seen it firsthand now, so.
Dude, I was amazed. It was such shite.
And how's the gym there, fighting? Because you've got two branches, haven't you? Is it Stone and Stafford?
Yeah, so we have our main HQ is in Stone, which is our smaller gym, weirdly enough. And we were there I don't think we left there for the first 5 years of me being there. And then Rich opened up his place in beginning of 2015. But Stone's only got a population of about 14,000 people. So growing it was never going to be easy. And Stafford's got a population of about 70,000. So the second we landed in Stafford, it just exploded. I mean, we never really went in stone, never really went above about 6 people on the mats. Now, if we had 6 people or 8 people, it was like course celebration. You know, you just break out the champagne and the party poppers, and like, there'd be photos everywhere. And then by the time we'd been in Stafford for 6 months, we'd have like 35 people on the mats. It was one of the best things we could do, was just move to a bigger town. And also at that point, I think I think we were the joint first BJJ classes in Stafford. So that's why and now there's like 5. But we were I think we were the first. And so we kind of hoovered everyone up right from the get-go, which is essentially how I got Naq. Because I got Anya first, then Abbas, then you, yeah.
It's kind of cool how me and Abbas got our black belts at the same time as well. I was like, okay, so he got me into this, like, and
I caught up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of classes? Is it one-to-ones? Is it group sessions? What?
Both.
What do you offer the gym?
So I do probably about 5 or 6. Some days 5 or 6 hours of privates in the mornings, and then.
Is that one-to-ones and privates? Yeah.
And then group sessions
Evening. Normally about 3 hours. So it's like I can't really do anything about jiu-jitsu outside of jiu-jitsu, because after doing 8 hours of it in a day, I'm like, I'm gonna go play card. Like, I can't go watch any videos. I can't talk to someone. I'm done. And so I'm just sitting there playing PS5 games, getting wasted by children, because I've got slow old man reaction time.
But you say COD, what happened to Tekken?
That's kid me. Like, again, I can't do anything about fighting. Shooting kids in the head, like, on games. Like, this ain't America. That I can deal with, but yeah, I can't. And I you say that. I actually did download Tekken not long ago. Had a bit of a go on it. I was like, I can't do any more about fighting because there's no jiu-jitsu on here. Like, if they had a jiu-jitsu like person, I could probably get invested a little bit. But I was like, nah, I need to shoot kids in the head.
On COD. Before we get cancelled.
Yeah. You only, like, I like how you've asked me on second episode and you know what I'm like. I see what.
It wasn't my question.
But you know somewhere along the line, like, Chris is going to say something stupid.
I had it ready. I was like, oh, we got to put it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Don't listen to all of this with, take it seriously. Chris is a doofus. He just says stuff to antagonize people.
And the villain.
Yeah, exactly. I need to live up to the name.
And what's your stance on, because I know I've heard before, well, it can and can't be very tribal. So what's your take on, if people are traveling throughout the country, let's just say, and they want to come into your gym and roll, they're not from around this area or neck of the woods as such, how do you guys, sort of deal with that? Do you let that happen, or is it a bit more tribal? Or
I think the tribal idea from it comes from, so historically, obviously, it's a very competitive martial art. And there'll be lots of competitions, way back when. And some gyms may have that secret sauce. And so you wouldn't want to share the secret sauce because that's how you'd win in competitions. And that's why visiting a different gym and stuff like that was kind of frowned upon. If you did, you'd normally get your head kicked in just because you look like someone who's like a spy or something like that. And that's kind of continued in some organizations within the sport, which is insane because all information is now on YouTube. Like, there's no hiding that secret source. Everyone's got the secret source. And so it seems weird that I could claim ownership of an adult who's paying me for a class. Like, if someone comes into my gym wanting to learn it, they're paying me for a service. I will provide that service. To then think that I have in any way ownership over that person is bonkers. Like, we're here, we're playing a game. I've played that game longer than you have. Maybe I have different ideas on how to play that game. I'm going to try and explain that game to you and make you better at that game. To think that then that I've told you this game, you have to be mine forever. That's mind blowing. And so it's kind of the same idea of Globetrotters with Christian. We're adults. We're going to a club and playing a game. And so going from that, it's the same. If anyone wants to come and visit, if everyone likes the ideas that I have or wants to come train with the people in the gym, cool. I'm glad you're here. And it's been nice in that over the years we have, especially pre-pandemic, there used to be people who'd visit and they'd sleep on my sofa, and they come. People I've never met. I remember, soon after, I must have been about a blue belt at the time. There's a guy called Haldor from Iceland. He was a 19-year-old kid. He's just about to go start traveling the world, and one of the first places he goes to is the UK. And so I was like, look, if you put out the message that if anyone can put me up whilst I'm in the UK, I was like, absolutely. Kid I'd never met, spoken to briefly on messages to give him my address, and all of a sudden he's sleeping on my sofa. That's crazy. But I guess it's that whole jiu-jitsu trust thing. And maybe I don't offer that as much these days. I don't want weird people on my sofa. But it's the same kind of idea, as in anyone who wants to come train, I'm happy that they want to come train with me. Come train for free. It's nice to have you. And it works out as well in that it gives everyone in the gym a different training partner, as in different ideas, different way of, different skill set, different type of person to play against. It helps everyone. So being closed-minded like that, I can't abide by it. Like everyone's free to come and play.
Creonte.
Yeah, that's where that term came from. It's and someone who used to be called a spy or a traitor in Brazil was called a creonte, which basically meant you're almost like a horrible label you didn't want to get. And so we are creontes. We are the creonte gym. But also, like, it works the other way around. Is that some people can be very particular about owning students, and like you can't like it has it's still prevalent weirdly that you could go to a gym and they say they're not allowed to go train at this other gym because they're a rival gym, and you'd be a traitor for going to train there. There's gyms in Stafford where their students will not visit anyone else who aren't part of their organization. I'm like, I want you guys to fuck off, because this is how we get better ideas. I mean, when I was starting out, I didn't know a thing about this sport. I was trying to pick stuff off of YouTube, and I couldn't travel all over the country to go get new ideas. So it was kind of like a group effort. Like, go away. If you can go train somewhere else, good. Bring ideas back. Let's all get better together. And it seemed very hypocritical for me to go off and travel and do this sport and then say to Naq, for example, you're not allowed. I am. Yeah. It seems, especially considering how much I've just said about it being such a great way of traveling the world. It's a vehicle for seeing the world. It's wherever I go, there is someone who I can make a friend with. To then deny that to other people sounds bonkers. Like, I can't. It's something that I'm enjoying, and it's one thing I'm trying to get. I really love what Naqi does, and so I'm now trying to use the connections I have to give him the same opportunities. Like, how many times have you been to Amsterdam before?
Never. First time.
Exactly. And you've now been to Amsterdam teaching jiu-jitsu, and it's only going to get bigger. And I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, I'm very thankful, man. I appreciate everything that you've done for me in this sport.
No, you deserve it.
And there's still gyms out there, though, which are very anti that and going training.
Oh, loads.
Oh, completely. Like, sometimes some of those kind of students will maybe show up at our gym, and then when we try and take a photo, they'll go hide because they don't want to be seen training with us, which is so weird.
Yeah,
Like,
it is weird.
they suddenly run off and hide in the changing room, and you're like, okay, cool,
Yeah, we're cool with
bye.
So when was your last fight then, Chris? When was your last fight?
2019, unfortunately. I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was on Grapple Fest, yeah. But then something happened in 2020, which kind of put the brakes on everyone doing everything. Couldn't train, out of practice. And one thing I've been like, probably jiu-jitsu related, but I've herniated a disc in my lower back, and so every now and then it'll flare up and I can't train. Like, it flared up Sunday? Yeah. Like, I literally leaned over to grab a toothbrush and my back locked out, and so that kind of left me out of training for the day. And so because I can't kind of generate that kind of consistency, like, some days are really good. Like, last night was really good. We had some really good rolls. Day before, couldn't move, like, not a sausage. And so the idea that I could go up against monsters, like guys who are training, who are beasts, and not be consistent when I walk in, I don't want to get hurt badly.
No, it's
You got
understandable.
no plans moving forward as it stands.
If it improves, I mean, I did go for an MRI last year, and they did say the disc is wearing down, and when it's worn down enough, they will just fuse it. So kind of until then, it's just managing. And if I get a good run, if it is a good run of training, maybe I can enter some small tournaments. But the coaching right now means more to me, and watching people like Naq and some of the other folks in the gym coming through, that I'm living vicariously through them. I want to see them succeed in whatever.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good guys coming through as well.
Yeah, some scary people. Like, I wish I was that good at their level. It almost makes me sad that if I was to put me at their level against them, they would destroy me. And it's one of the reasons why I couldn't, when I was happy enough to award Naqi as black belt. And I think where I was 4 years ago, if I was to have rolled with Naq, he would have smashed my teeth in. And I would have been so sad at that point. So I'm like, how can I deny him a promotion at this point when me at that level wouldn't have had a candle to what he is? So it kind of only made sense.
I think we got to a stage where I think we were just pushing each other so much. We were like, neither of us could take the pedal off the gas, because we were just like, if one of us just takes the foot off, it's like the other one's just going to dominate non-stop.
It could be like 25 minutes of us just
Nading each other.
not getting anywhere and just waiting for that one mistake. Like, no mistakes for 25 minutes, then one of us drops the ball, and all of a sudden we get hurt. Like, how can I deny someone who's that good any longer? It doesn't make any sense. So hopefully I get to see Naqi do that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
And you've got seminars. I think you mentioned you've got seminars coming up. Canada, is it? You said this year. And
So hopefully I get to go visit people out in Canada and America, and I want to go east. I love America. I love Canada. I haven't been to Canada, but I love North America, and I want to go east. I want to go see the Middle East. I want to go see the Far East. I want to go to Australia. There's plenty of planets still left to go. I'm really thankful as well that there's such a good team at the gym that I can go off and do these things, and they're just going to keep the show rolling. And I know, and I can trust them that what they're doing in my stead is good. And then when I hopefully again, like especially with Abbas and Naq coming through the way they are, and that I can do the same for them when they want to go off and explore and do this. So hopefully it's going to be a really interesting year. We're just going to be I've had to just buy a new passport, but I bought one of the jumbo size ones so I can fit more stamps in it, so I can see me using it an awful lot. It just arrived just as I arrived here. Like, new passports arrived. Like, yes, get to go travel.
Good.
good sign, that is.
Traveling's always the best, isn't it? I found it amazing. Like, I would never thought I would be able to go to America, Amsterdam, Germany a few times, Italy.
It broke your mind. Watching you, it made me so happy seeing you in America. When we got off the train in New York and in Boston, you're like, just wide-eyed. You like, imagine like a Marilyn Monroe kind of thing, with like the white dress, like billowing over the sidewalk. Like, that was Naqi at that point in time. Yeah, exactly.
New York, so many people ask me what was New York like. I was like, look, just imagine it like in a movie, how when you watch New York in a movie, it's exactly the same. Same people, same roles, everything's going on, something's kicking off there. You're not bothered just walking past. It's mad. Yeah. New York is a crazy place. It was. Oh, yeah. Nighttime. Our train journeys.
Yeah. Man, the amount of random screaming people on I mean, one thing about America is they don't really look after people as well as maybe the UK do, and so there's a lot of crazy people out there just screaming, and it's wild at night.
That's the best way to put it.
I was going to say, should probably just leave it to that.
Yeah, just wild.
Yeah, it's a bit wild.
Yeah.
It was okay. One story. So we were talking just before this podcast came out, so about hallucinogenics, shall we say. And one thing about America is that they're easy to get hold of now, especially in Boston. Like, you could, and that's one thing I think that broke Naki's mind, is that we were walking through Boston. There's a cannabis shop, and it doesn't look like a little seedy kind of like tobacco shop around the corner. It's got nice headings on the the logo's really nice, and the security guard outside, and it's nice frosted glass windows, and it looks pro. And we're both looking like, oh my God, like, what a crazy place. Let's go in. And yeah, I think, how long were we spending in that sauna? Like, we couldn't move that night.
Oh yeah, hour and a half.
Easily. How we didn't die in that sauna. And so how we even recorded anything out there is I have no idea. I've not been able to watch that video.
Sounds interesting, this trip to
It was a brilliant day.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
It was very interesting.
And I've got this feeling you're holding so much back.
No.
Yeah, we have to. We can't release everything. It filled up too many podcasts. But yeah, it was I like, again, it's you know, if there's one thing to take away from this whole podcast, and it's about jiu-jitsu, and it's a great sport. I love it. But it is the best vehicle for seeing the world, and the fact that I could give that vehicle to Naq, and we could both explore somewhere that we never thought we'd ever end up: Boston, Salem, New York City, somewhere obviously you thought you'd never end up, especially, and here we are, and we're doing this. And if it wasn't for this weird niche sport, we probably never would have done it. And that it gives you like that kind of spiritual moment, thinking that where was your life going to go otherwise? Like, you're literally just doing the same thing every single day until it runs out. And we, you were going to be a teacher, I was a fireman, and we could have been in those careers waiting for our retirement. And then in 35, 40 years, we think, what the hell have we done? We wasted it doing it, the same thing every single day.
When I left teaching, that was one of the thoughts that I had, like, well, when I retire, then what? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I've actually got to live.
Yeah.
And I'm too old to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and here we are. Just because of, you rocking up one day with a bass into the gym, and me one day hearing rumors of a place of violent men. We're both now ending up all over the world doing stuff that we never even dreamt of. And so if anyone's listened to this and they're wondering if jiu-jitsu is for them, don't see it as just a sport, which is a really fun sport. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a better vehicle for seeing the world. Completely.
Plus, I know we say jiu-jitsu, it's not strictly just jiu-jitsu that we do, is it? It's like a grappling.
Yeah.
We just say jiu-jitsu.
It's the marketable term.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people don't understand grappling jiu-jitsu. Like, what is the difference? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's again, it's probably one of those things that over the years, like, you try and explain to people what you do. You say it's like wrestling, but not the pro kind, not the scripted kind. Yeah, it's jiu-jitsu, not the Japanese standing in the line punching kind. It's like UFC, but no striking involved. And so you kind of just give up and just say, just Brazilian jiu-jitsu, what Tom Hardy does.
Yeah,
like,
nowadays,
yeah, exactly. It's been on the BBC, he's doing it. That should be enough reason to come and try it out. It sounds funny enough. When I first heard about jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, obviously it's called BJJ, and I thought it stood for blowjob job. So like, I used to like see it mentioned on martial arts forums, like, have you tried that new BJJ? I'm like, whoa, like there's some new techniques out there that I am not prepared for. Yeah.
I've got a friend who's got my name saved as Naqi BJ, not BJJ. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna crack you.
That's what I used to read all the time. It probably about a good 2 or 3 months of me just thinking people were talking up blowjob jobs, like pro version.
And you're trying to have this conversation with a straight face.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. So people think, like, how did you get into martial arts? It's nothing sincere or like, obvious. Like, oh yeah, he was a bullied kid and he found a martial arts master. I was a stupid kid. I was a stupid nerd who played a lot of Tekken and then took up a martial art he thought stood for blowjob job. Like, that's how we got here.
I think anybody who doesn't know what BJJ is, they're instantly just going to think somebody just added an extra J on for no reason.
I've had those conversations and people said, blowjob. Like, no, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Oh yeah, we're on a different page completely then. Like, we're talking about something entirely different. I apologize for dragging this podcast down.
No. It's called the real for a reason.
Yeah, I'm testing it. Let's see. Let's see how far you guys can push it.
Before we get cancelled.
On number 2.
But anyway, you touched on fireman. What else have you done before that? So did you go straight into the fire series? So as soon as you were...
Weirdly enough, I came in... so I never went to college or... I went straight from high school into work. I was, okay, maybe this has a reason for doing martial arts. I was mugged horrendously when I was 16. Enough that they caved in half my face and I still can't breathe out of my right nostril.
Oh, okay. How many of them were there?
You not know that?
I know you were mugged, but I didn't know it was that early in your.
No, yeah, I was just in. It was April 2003. I was just coming to the end of high school, so I was just about to do my GCSE exams, and I was cycling home about 7 p.m. In Stafford from an ex-girlfriend's house, girlfriend at the time, and two guys jumped me and kept me in prison for a while. Wouldn't let me go, and eventually just turned on me, smashed my face in. Like, I was sitting on a bike, so I couldn't really do anything about it. And the one guy, he punched my face in so much on the right hand side that I still can't breathe that side of it. Like, I've only got one working nostril, weirdly. Yeah, that's why, because he smashed my face in. I couldn't go outside for months. Like, I had to be taken to school because I couldn't walk on the streets on my own. Like, I couldn't go on the bus. Massively, I couldn't go outside. I say traumatized. Like, it's probably been one of the biggest issues I've had over the past, or since then. It's taken me about 18 years to get over it, weirdly. I didn't know about. But that then, once I managed to finally go outside, and that was about September 2003, I took up Muay Thai, just because I thought if it ever happens again, I won't be able to kick him back. Or elbow, yeah. So at that point in time as well, so that night, I get home, my face is smashed up, and we call the police, obviously, and we report the incident to them. And one of the guys was drunk, and he drunkenly told me his name.
As you do.
So I told the police officer this, like, gave him a description, told him the guy's name. They call it through, and the guy gets a call back on the radio, and he says, "Oh yeah, we know who the kid is. He was an abused child or whatever it is, and he's known by us, and nothing's going to come out of this. Like, we're not going to be able to really. He's not going to get punished meaningfully. And because you live, he lives about a mile away, and he's just going to know more about you, and you're probably going to get return threats if you, if you press charges." So at that point in time, he pretty much ripped up my witness statement in front of me and said, "You don't, like, there's nothing to do with this." And I'm still bleeding at this point, and the police officer's saying, "We can't really help you for that." And at that point in time, I was actually about to go from high school to college to go do public services to be a police officer. How strange.
I won't say anymore.
And if it wasn't for them showing that they are completely spineless at that moment in time to help this bleeding kid, I was like, okay, I can't. Yeah. And so did my GCSEs, and then my mom said to me, like, "Your dad's doing this internet marketing SEO business. Why don't you take a gap year to help him while you figure out what you want to do?" And that gap year turned into 6 gap years. I then put on a load of weight because I was working in an office. I'd eat 15 chocolate bars a day, drink 2 liters of cherry Coke, and have 2 takeaways, one at lunch and one at dinner. I ended up massive.
I've seen that picture.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was a big boy. And then did that whilst I was at work. And then 2009, I was told that there's a new fire station opening in Stafford. The first time they've actually opened a new fire station. Why don't you apply? And I thought, I could get fit. Why not? Fuck about and find out. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so I applied. I think over the years it was trying to recruit. I think there was about 7,000 applicants for 15 jobs. Wow. So I got through on that, and went through the application phase, went through the testing and various other things. And then 2010 started. And so I went straight from being a office monkey to running into fires, which I then did for up until last year. And then it became apparent that if I wanted to do jiu-jitsu, I had so much jiu-jitsu planned, it was either going to be cancel jiu-jitsu plans and limit my career, or quit the fire service. so I quit the fire service. Like, why not hand in my ticket for a really stable career that's going to give me a really good pension to go travel the world doing a niche martial art? Like, that makes such great career sense.
But I suppose it's your passion and your love for it and for how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It makes more sense.
It's addicting, innit, man?
It is for some people. Like, and what was that saying? Like, you know, there's you know, anyone can do jiu-jitsu. No, like, jiu-jitsu can be for anyone. Anyone can walk in the gym and enjoy it, but only the true crazies like stick around for a long period of time. And it's one thing I was talking to the guy who owns Fighting Fit, G Oaks, fantastically scary individual.
Quite well known in Stoke, I would say.
Very well known, really cool guy, scares the hell out of me. And so we were talking, and we had a guy come in, and he wanted to be an MMA fighter, and he did not. You know, he came to our grappling session once. His ribs were sore, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a couple of weeks out because my ribs are a bit sore." And I'm like, I've been around enough people over the years to know the maniacs. Like, there's the kind that walk in and they get a little bit sore and then they go away. You never see them again. Jiu-jitsu is not for you. And then you got the nutters who come in and they get mutilated on day one. They have eyes, you know, bleeding, and they have broken fingers, and they're like, "Cool, I'll see you tomorrow." Like, shouldn't you be going to hospital? Nah, man, I'm good. And like, they'll come in with an eye patch on and their fingers taped up, and they'll go for it again. You think, you're going to be here forever because you're crazy. Like, you don't care. Yeah, only the crazy sick. And that's why, you know, you look at someone like Naq when he walked into a bass and you think, these are maniacs. They're going to be here forever. Like, these are black belts in the making. Then you got some kids who walk in like, "Oh, I'll be an MMA fighter." You slap them, they go, "Oh, I don't like this." And like, you're not here. You're not for this. I know. He knows the exact same. So we had that conversation. It was kind of funny. You know the nutters when you meet them.
We have that conversation now. Whenever someone new comes in, we're like, "Is he gonna be a part-timer? Is he gonna be nuts?"
As they walk in, you weigh them up.
Yeah. After the rolls, we're like, "Okay, this person's gonna stay."
Yeah. If their life doesn't get in the way, they're gonna be here forever because they don't know any better.
Well, on that note, I'd like to say, Chris,
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing your experiences.
No, thank you. It's been a lot of fun to especially, you know, because with Naqi and I have a great history, and we have quite a few shared experiences, and it's good just chatting amongst friends and bringing it out.
And hopefully we'd like to probably get you back on again if you can, once you've done your seminars abroad and you come back again. And if we take off, hopefully, you know, season 2. Yeah, season 2. Yeah. You got to think ahead, haven't you? You got to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spotify money, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
What you guys are going to be doing.
Oh no, he's done it now.
I like that. I like it. Keep them.
We like it. So yeah, on that note, thank you very much, and thank you for everybody viewing in.
And as we're finishing there, we have a quick fire round, don't we?
Oh yeah.
We need a quick fire round from Chris. So I'll let you start with the first one.
So there's only one or the other: boxing or MMA.
MMA.
Cool. Next
Yeah.
one.
Khabib or Conor?
Khabib.
Nice.
Cool. Breakfast or no breakfast?
Breakfast. I love cereal. You'd never take pride for my gold head hands.
Cake or ice cream?
Cake.
See,
Don't
quick.
think about it.
Yeah.
There's not even a thing.
No, don't think about it.
Cool. So this one is more like I thought I need to know this because I've never asked him this, because you do it quite often. Beard or no beard?
Oh, beard. Beard. I had to shave for 12 years in the fire service. The second I could leave, I'd stop shaving.
Wiki. Good. Any others? Anything else? I think we're done here.
Yeah, no. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Chris. Thank you for
Pleasure.
coming.
Thank
you very
for
much.
your time.
Thank you.